In the heart of West Africa, in a land brimming with thick forests and winding rivers, stood the beautiful village of Abuleodo. Abuleodo was a small village, but one rich with traditions, stories, and the kind of magic only found in the whispers of the wind and the songs of the birds. This village was home to a tale that would echo for generations. This is the beautiful story of Moni, the girl whose unique gift ended up shaping our destiny. Moni's story began with a double tragedy. Her mother, a beautiful woman named Abeni, was known throughout the village for her kindness and wisdom. She was a simple market woman by trade, dealing in foodstuff, essentials, and similar wares. She was married to Akinkanju, who was a bold and courageous warrior. He was the leader of the village army and would constantly lead the small unit of soldiers into battle whenever the enemy kingdoms came to attack. He was a brave and strong warrior who knew no fear and defeat. However, he and his wife Abeni were unlucky when it came to having children. They had tried several times, with Abeni having multiple miscarriages. Akinkanju's friends and family had advised him to take another wife, stating that Abeni was cursed, as so she couldn't bear children. But Akinkanju loved his wife Abeni, and he would always console her and assure her he wouldn't take another wife. The pressure from Akinkanju's family, particularly his mother, became overwhelming for Abeni. In her desperation, she journeyed to a distant village to consult the high oracle of the land, known only as Orishaiwe. This was Abeni's last hope. She had heard from many who had sought the great oracle's guidance before that no problem was too difficult for Orishaiwe to solve. It was there she learned for her to conceive, she had to visit the great Oshun River and offer a huge sacrifice to the river goddess Oshun, the goddess of fertility. She did exactly as she was instructed by the oracle, performing all the required rites and ceremonial sacrifices. But still yet nothing changed. She was on the verge of giving up when one day, as she slept, she had a dream about her grandmother. She and her grandmother were very close while she was alive. In the dream, her grandmother comforted her and assured her she would surely carry her own child eventually, and that child would come with a very special gift. As she woke up, she suddenly felt a sense of calm, and she believed every word her grandmother had told her in the dream. A few months down the line, she became pregnant again. This time around, Akinkanju made sure he took good care of Abeni to prevent any loss of the pregnancy. He would spend hours massaging her swollen feet, feeding her and singing to her just to make her more comfortable. He did everything humanly possible to ensure that Abeni delivered safely. When it was getting to the time for her to deliver, Akinkanju had to leave the village to embark on a mission to defend their territory, as the enemy kingdom was planning an imminent attack. In the war that ensued, Akinkanju and his soldiers fought bravely to defend their territory. They won the battle, but it came at a great cost. A lot of soldiers lost their lives defending their homeland. Regrettably, Akinkanju was among those who fell in battle. Abeni was in labor when she received the very sad news that her husband had been killed in battle. Her pregnancy was complicated. The stress of the labor, coupled with the sad news of her husband's passing, drove her into a state of shock, and despite the village healer's best efforts, she passed away, giving birth to her daughter, Moni. The midwives who were present at Moni's birth swore they heard the baby hum a soft melodic tune as she entered the world, a sound so sweet it brought tears to their eyes. It was as though Moni had come into this world with a song already in her heart. Left without a mother and her father long gone, Moni was entrusted to her aunt Morayo, Abeni's elder sister. Morayo was a woman with a heart hardened by bitterness. She had lost her husband to kidnappers who demanded a ransom she couldn't afford. She had approached the villagers and village heads for assistance to raise the money to save her husband, but the villagers ignored her, and eventually, when the kidnappers didn't hear back from her, they did the unthinkable. Morayo sadly lost her husband to the kidnappers, and she constantly blamed the villagers for this. This made her resent them, and ultimately this shaped her to become a very bitter and ill-tempered woman. She resented Moni from the day she arrived, blaming the infant for her sister's death, and so Moni grew up in a house that never felt like a home, under the watchful eye of a woman who seemed to despise her very existence. She reluctantly agreed to take in Moni. Moni grew to become a beautiful, loving, and carefree girl with an angelic voice. Whenever she was performing her house chores, she would sing. Her voice was so surreal that even the birds would gather around her to listen whenever she sang. Morayo had two kids for her late husband, Adeola and Tunde, whom she loved dearly, but she never showed the same feeling towards Moni. Instead, Morayo would pile chores upon chores for Moni to do, and if she didn't complete them on time, she would bear the brunt of her cane. Morayo's two children were well dressed, well fed, and well educated. Morayo spent no expense in ensuring they had the best clothes, the finest food, and were sent to the best schools. But Moni, poor Moni, was treated as less than a servant. She wore tattered clothes, ate the scraps left after Morayo's children were done, and was forbidden from attending school. Instead, she was made to sell wares at the village market, where she worked under the blistering sun day after day to make money for her aunt's household. Despite the harsh conditions of her life, Moni was a beautiful girl. Her deep brown skin glowed like polished mahogany, and her almond-shaped eyes sparkled with the curiosity of someone who still believed there was beauty in the world. But what set Moni apart from everyone else was her voice. Her voice was something not of this world. It was a voice that once heard was never forgotten. Whenever she sang, it was as though the bird stopped chirping, the wind ceased its blowing, and the very earth itself stood still to listen. People who passed her on the street would pause, mesmerized by the sound. Unknown to Moni, her voice had healing powers. One day, an old man passing through the market collapsed with a painful groan. His face was pale, his body very weak. He had been nursing a life-threatening illness for years and was just barely managing to hang on. He looked thin and skinny, and as he laid on the floor, struggling to breathe, his life gradually fading away from him, the market crowd gathered around him, helpless and unsure of what to do. Moni was sitting at a corner of the market, arranging her wares and singing. The people could hear the angelic voice, but they didn't know which area of the market the voice was coming from. As she was singing, the sound of her voice, like a lullaby carried on the wings of angels, wrapped around the old man. His breathing steadied, and moments later, to the astonishment of the onlookers, he stood up, hale and hearty, completely healed, his strength fully restored. The villagers were amazed and hurried to find the source of the beautiful angelic voice. To their surprise, at the very far end of the market, they found Moni singing as she was busy arranging her wares. She was completely unaware that her voice had just healed an old man in the market. The people gathered round to observe her. They were still confused and surprised how Moni's voice was able to heal the old man. Moni herself looked up and was surprised to see a group of people staring at her intently. The news of Moni's miraculous voice spread through Abuleodo like wildfire. People from neighboring villages came to see the girl who could heal with her songs. They brought with them their sick, their lame, and their afflicted. Moni, in her innocence, welcomed them with open arms, singing to ease their pain, never asking for anything in return. But her aunt Morayo saw an opportunity for payback. She realized she had the power to control how Moni used her gifts to help the villagers. She couldn't bring herself to forgive them for the incident with her late husband. And so, with revenge already festering in her heart and greed steadily brewing, she took full control. Morayo began to charge the desperate villagers exorbitant fees for Moni's healing songs. She forced Moni to sing for hours on end while she collected piles of cowries, yams, and gold. Moni's voice became the household's greatest source of wealth, but none of that wealth ever reached Moni. Her clothes remained tattered, her belly never full, and her dream of going to school seemed further away than ever. Morayo, Moni's aunt, gradually enriched herself by exploiting Moni's unique gift of healing. One day, a poor couple brought their young daughter, who was very sick and on the verge of dying, to Morayo so that Moni could use her unique gift to heal her. Morayo charged them a huge amount they couldn't afford. They searched high and low, all to no avail. Moni, on her part, was more than willing to save the little girl, but her aunt only wanted revenge. The poor couple couldn't afford the fee, and so, sadly, their daughter died as a result of the sickness. Moni was devastated, but her wicked aunt unmoved. She had not anticipated that her gift would be exploited by her aunt this way. She knew she had a bigger destiny that awaited her beyond the village of Abuliodo. As the months passed, Moni's life became unbearable. Her aunt's demands grew harder, and the punishments for even the smallest mistakes were brutal. If Moni hesitated to sing, Morayo would beat her with a stick or deny her food. The other villagers noticed Moni's suffering, but they were too afraid to speak against Morayo, who had a reputation for her cruelty. One evening, after a particularly grueling day of healing and singing, Moni lay in a small corner of the house, exhausted and broken. Tears streamed down her face, and for the first time in her life, she felt hopeless. As she drifted into a restless sleep, she dreamt of her mother. In the dream, Abeni appeared before her, glowing with the light of the ancestors. She spoke softly to her daughter, her voice gentle but filled with strength. "Moni, my child, your voice is a gift from the gods," Abeni said. "It was given to you to bring healing to those in need, but you were not meant to suffer for it. You have the strength to change your destiny. Leave this place, follow your heart, and you will find the life you deserve." When Moni woke the next morning, she knew what she had to do. She could no longer endure the torment of her aunt's household. With a heavy heart, she packed the few belongings she had, a small bag, a single change of clothes, and a scarf that once belonged to her mother. Under the cover of darkness, she slipped out of the house and ran. She ran through the village, past the market where she had spent so many long hours, past the huts of those she had healed, and into the dense forest beyond. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew she had to get as far away from Abuliodo as possible. The forest was dark and thick, but Moni was guided by a sense of purpose she hadn't felt before. It was as though the ancestors themselves were leading her. The next day, when Morayo woke up, she was surprised to see Moni's sleeping place empty. She looked for her everywhere but couldn't find her. News had gotten around that Moni had escaped from her wicked aunt. The villagers were displeased with Morayo that Moni ran away as a result of her cruelty, and they further despised her for this. The friction between the villagers and Morayo was getting to a tipping point. For days, Moni wandered, surviving on wild fruits and the occasional stream she found along the way. Eventually, she came upon another village much smaller than Abuliodo. The name of this village was called Abuleolorin, which when translated means the village of singers. This quiet and peaceful village was home to a kind and loving people who welcomed her with open arms. The village was known for its skilled musicians and singers, and Moni felt right at home with the people of Abuleolorin. They had heard rumors of the girl with the healing voice, and when Moni revealed who she was, they begged her to stay. Moni agreed, and for the first time in her life, she found peace. The village was home to the best singing group in the land. The singing group would often journey from village to village, putting up shows to entertain the people. And in time, Moni became a part of them. She would journey with the singing group, moving from village to village to sing. Her voice was angelic, and anyone who heard her singing would pause to listen while getting entranced by the sound of her voice. She went with the singing group for a couple of years, but she knew there was still something missing in her life. She knew she was meant for a bigger purpose than just singing and entertaining people. It had been a while since her voice actually healed anyone. Was she losing her gifts? One day, in the village of Abuleolorin, there was widespread panic and chaos. The village head, Baale Alakija, was seriously ill and on his deathbed. All solutions proffered to heal him had failed. Meanwhile, Moni had already left the village with the singing group. When news reached her that the Baale was seriously ill, she was anxious. She wondered if her voice still had its healing powers, because it had been a long while since she used her voice to heal anyone. She quickly shrugged off the doubts, and with a renewed sense of purpose, she journeyed back to Abuleolorin alone, leaving behind the singing group. When she got to the local palace, the people were gathered around the sick bed of the Baale. They all looked up to her with the hope and expectation that her voice could heal him. Will she be able to heal Baale Alakija and fulfill her destiny as a healer as ordained by the gods? Or will her gift be forever lost in the annals of time, never to return again? What future awaits Moni as she embarks on a journey of self-discovery to fulfilling her destiny? Find out in the part 2 of this exhilarating and exciting story. Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, The African Storyteller. This is the face behind all the beautiful stories and the voiceover you hear on my channel. My name is Isaac, but my friends call me Zico. I'm a passionate writer, I'm a blogger, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a digital marketer. I want to say thank you so much for watching. I want to say thank you for your support. Thank you for showing me your love. The part 2 of this story will be out soon, so please subscribe and put on the notification bell. Also, smash the like button and share if you found this story engaging and interesting. And don't forget to leave your comments in the comments section about what you learned in this story or suggestions for future stories. I would really love to hear from you. Till I bring to you another enchanting African tale, this is the African Storyteller.